To paraphrase, I guess, Nancy Pelosi, I'm not going to bother saying good morning because it certainly is not one. Overnight, the Trump administration bombed the capital city of Venezuela, Caracas, where they then proceeded to kidnap the president of a sovereign country that we are not in an active conflict with, or at least we weren't until Trump started one. And they allegedly have indicted him in the state of New York. Of course, that is President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela. His wife, the First Lady of Venezuela, did announce that she has no idea where her husband is. All she knows is that the attack on the capital city by the United States cost the lives of government officials, military personnel, and of course, plenty of civilians. And that's where we're at. Saturday morning, January 3rd, 3 days into the year 2026. I think it's safe to say at this point that Donald Trump can go ahead and kiss any hope of getting a Nobel Peace Prize goodbye. We are now involved in an active conflict in Venezuela, although the administration swears, right? Marco Rubio came out this morning and was like, yeah, there's going to be no further attacks on this country, which I guess is good. I mean, they didn't provoke an attack to begin with, so there should have been no attack whatsoever. Listen, I'm not going to defend Maduro. Honestly, I'm not even too well versed on how he is from what I've read. Probably not the best leader out there in the world. But he is, in fact, the leader of a country. That country has done absolutely nothing to provoke the United States. They are not an enemy to us. They are not allied with a country we are in active conflict with. None of this should have happened. But this administration is so desperate for conquest that they will use any flimsy excuse they can to try to achieve that goal. And the flimsy excuse here, which honestly is even flimsier than George W. Bush with Iraq, is that they've got drugs in their country and the drugs come over here sometimes. Okay. We have drugs in our country that go to other countries and kill people too. Does that give them the right to come over here, bomb Washington, D.C. and kidnap our president? Because if that's the standard Trump is setting, he may need to, up his security a little bit. Because as Emma Vigeland actually pointed out on CNN recently, which was brilliant, we've been sending prescription pharmaceuticals all over the world that have resulted in hundreds of thousands of deaths. So, if Trump is setting the precedent that any country can bomb somebody else and kidnap their leader because people died of their drugs, then, well, I mean, I think that's, I guess, fair game at this point, right? But this is utter insanity. Absolutely not what we want to wake up to on what is, could have been a nice relaxing weekend, third day of the year, people gearing up to go back to work after the holidays. And now we got to deal with the fact that our unhinged, demented president of the United States has kidnapped a foreign leader. I mean, that's what this is. They can call it, we arrested him. You don't have authority. We do not have authority to walk into another country and arrest their president. You captured him. You took him away. You kidnapped him. People don't know where he is. That's kidnapping. But, unapologetic and unfiltered truth here says they want oil and minerals. And yeah, that was a point I was going to get to, eventually here. But yeah, that is what this is. It's also just the general conquest that Donald Trump obviously wants to do. But yeah, Venezuela, very oil rich, very mineral rich. And this administration has actually talked repeatedly about the minerals and the oil. And you've had Republican politicians go out there in the media and talk about how this would be great because of all the resources. This is regime change. This is kidnapping. This is going to be strip mining eventually. And the United States is going to end up installing a leader in Venezuela that is loyal to Donald Trump, that will do whatever Trump says. And he's going to boast and brag about how great the United States is doing all of these wonderful new things coming in. And in the process, civilians and everybody else is going to be dead along the way. The Hitchbot super chat, thank you very much, says, wait a minute, didn't he pardon that one leader who helped drug traffickers because a country having drugs doesn't make it the leader's fault? Yeah, he did. He absolutely did. And that right there is just another piece of evidence that we have to show that all of this is based on total BS. Although technically they said we're indicting Maduro also on weapons charges. Okay, again, you don't have jurisdiction. And if he is sending weapons into the United States, we also do that with other countries too. So we're in a real big pot calling the kettle black situation right here, because everything they're accusing Maduro of doing are things the United States actively does, honest to God, on a daily basis. So, I don't think we certainly sure as hell don't have any moral high ground whatsoever. Super chat here from Arctic Phoenix says, we are no different than Russia in this regard. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. Russia invaded Ukraine, wanted to annex it, based on this total BS, like, well, we didn't want, they could have maybe possibly joined NATO and we don't like that. Doesn't give a shit if you like it or not. They actually have every right to do that. And then we turn around, we do the same damn thing. I mean, this comment says, WTF did I wake up to? I'm exhausted. We all are at this point, because this is just utter insanity. And listen, I do think this also has to do with Donald Trump's dementia. And here's what I mean. And I have, talked about this before. It's the fact that people with dementia often lose the filter. They say things that ordinarily they may have thought, but now they just don't have the ability to hold it in anymore. And so they do end up saying these weird and wild things. But it also goes into behavior. And so when you have somebody like Donald Trump, who has the cognitive decline as well as this narcissism and this ego, it causes them to act out in ways that they ordinarily would not have. They do tend, when you have those combination of psychological and neurological factors, to act out more aggressively. And that is what we are seeing here. And again, it's only been a couple days since we just bombed Nigeria as well, folks. So we're talking about, in the span of a week here, we've bombed 2 separate countries. A couple of super chats coming in here. First one is, I can't imagine anyway how America can gain a good reputation again. How long did it take Germany to shake their World War II stereotype? To a degree, I mean, obviously Germany still has to deal with that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, that's where we are. We still haven't shaken the stigma of Iraq. And now we're over here doing the same damn thing in Venezuela on even flimsier pretenses. Another super chat here says, with how the courts have been nixing the administration's prosecutions, it'll be funny if the judges kick Maduro's prosecution out. Yeah, and that's certainly a possibility. One comment went through, by the way. It said, my assessment of Russia-Ukraine was very juvenile. Ha ha. Well, thank you for that. I did try to explain it in, under 10 seconds. But at the same time, there's a lot of, Russian bots out there who are like, Russia was allowed to piss off. Like, seriously, piss off. Okay. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to listen to it. You can defend Russia all you want. You're just not going to do it here. Okay. We're not going to do that. They're the aggressors. And in this particular instance with Venezuela, we're the aggressors. With Nigeria, we're the aggressors. And of course, we can't forget that this administration just yesterday threatened to go bomb Iran. Okay? So we could be in 3 different conflicts on 3 different continents by the end of this weekend, folks. That's what we are looking at with this psychotic man sitting in the Oval Office that no longer has any control over his brain. His body is failing, and he is desperately trying to cement a legacy by expanding the American empire. That is what we are dealing with. Super chat here says 25th Amendment time. I don't think impeachment will work right now, but there's Trump's dementia. What do you say, Farron? I wish we could do the 25th Amendment. I think we need the 25th Amendment. Unfortunately, that depends on the cabinet and the vice president doing that, and they will never do it. Like Trump could bomb their own homes, and they still wouldn't invoke the 25th Amendment, although this particular moment in time is what the 25th Amendment was made for. Like this is it. This is exactly what they had in mind when they were like, wait a minute, what if the president goes just nuts and threatens the world, right? Maybe we ought to have some safeguards. Like, here we are, ding, ding, ding. We've hit the moment, but the cabinet of sycophants is not going to do anything. They're absolutely not going to do anything. So we are stuck with this, but I do believe this is an impeachable offense, obviously. Bombing and kidnapping a country that we are not, there is no declaration of war. There is no actual threat from that country to the United States. And as I've repeatedly said, look, if drugs are in fact coming from that country into this one, which sure they are, that's not a problem of the government. Even if the government were making them in the president's mansion and sending them over here, that's a problem for us. That's a problem we have to deal with at home, not over there. We have to address the causes of drug use here in the United States, and we have to get people help. But nobody wants to talk about that solution. Nobody wants to invest the time and energy and money into getting people better here in the United States. Because if they're not getting their drugs from, shipments over in Venezuela, they're going to get them somewhere else, because that's how addiction works. That's how drug abuse works. If we do not fix that problem, if we do not address the humanitarian side of it here in the United States, it doesn't matter how many countries we bomb, it doesn't matter how many regimes we change, the drug use here is still going to happen, and the drugs are still going to pour in. But this administration doesn't even want to acknowledge that. They don't want to have that conversation. They don't want to deal with the actual cause of the problem that could yield a real solution. Obviously, look, we can never eradicate, I don't think, any problem 100%. I think it's always going to exist in small amounts, but we can still eradicate most of it, right? We could still put in the effort and try. But no, it's a hell of a lot easier to load up your planes and just bomb the hell out of another country. That's the easy way out. That's the coward's way out. But that is what this administration has chosen to do time and time again. So I can't wait, for next year to roll around and Donald Trump to be pissing his pants saying, why didn't I win a Nobel Peace Prize again? It's because you're killing people. Actually, if you count the United States, you're killing people on 4 different continents. A majority of continents, Donald Trump's administration has now killed people. So, I think the Peace Prize is out the window, but he's still going to pee his pants over it. Comment here says, we are the bad guys. We are. We absolutely are. And that's horrible for us to be in that situation, but it's also a realization that people do have to come to. We're not the good guys. We're not, the heroes anymore, swooping in and saving everybody at the last minute. We're the villain that thinks we're Thanos, right? Okay, that's the best way. We think we're doing the right thing, but really we're just these evil SOBs hell-bent on genocide, apparently. Another super chat here. Thank you very much. Says medical rules for the president needs to change. Instead of the coverage of HIPAA, doctors should come out if the president's ailment is a national security risk. I agree 100%. And it needs to be an independent doctor. It can't be like the White House doctor, like this creepy Barbarella guy who lies on behalf of Trump and says, no, the guy's totally healthy. Another super chat says he wants to do all the things that McKinley did because that's who was president when his grandfather struck it rich, tariffs, seizing territory, etc. Interesting theory. I like that. Another super chat says, hi again, Farron. Nice seeing you live. Hi. Thank you. It's, today was supposed to be my day off from doing lives, the weekends, but I can't not, address this issue. And it's maddening. And it's our reality. Donald Trump is actually supposed to be doing a press conference at 11 a.m. Eastern. So we've got about 35 minutes, I guess, or God, it's only 8:24. Boy, my time of day is all screwed up here. So yeah, he's going to be doing his press briefing in a little bit to talk about what a success it was and how awesome it was. More super chats here. Do you think he will bomb allies if left alone? I won't put anything past this guy anymore. Absolutely not. He'll bomb anybody that he sees fit. Anybody that does not bow to his whim, it's now on the table. He's set that precedent. The bar has been lowered. That's where we're at. Have you seen the bogus charges Bondi put out? No, I have not read the charges. All I had seen from the live updates here was that they said drugs and weapons charges. So I haven't seen the exact wording of it. I worked 13 hours yesterday and I woke up to this. I cannot wait to see how MAGA tries to spin this one. Thank you, Farron, for your live chat. No problem. Thank you, guys. And yeah, we're going to see this right-wing propaganda spin machine just kick into overdrive. It's going to be interesting because these are the same people who I've said repeatedly kept telling us like, Trump's not going to get us into any wars. Trump's not going to do it. And I guarantee you part of it's going to be like, well, it's not a war. Right? It's not a war. He had to go take care of business. He's a tough guy. You don't mess with him, right? He's so tough. He'll just bomb you and take your president and disappear them. Super Chat says, as a Canadian, I'm worried what Trump will not plan to do to Canada or will plan to do to Canada and Greenland. Trump threats are no longer just innocent. I agree. I mean, the threats of annexing Canada as the 51st state, Greenland, all of that now, and maybe that plays a role in this. Maybe this is Trump sending a message to the rest of the world like, hey, if I actually want your territory, we've got the largest military. We spend $1 trillion a year on it now. You really can't stop me. And again, when you add that in with the potential dementia, with the clear psychological issues, this becomes a real threat. It's a threat to global stability at this point. Super Chat says, is FIFA going to take their trash award back? God, that would be hilarious. But no, they won't. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we do start to see on the same sports line, we've got the Olympics. I wouldn't be surprised if other countries decided, you know what, we're not going to do it. We've already seen some countries express some trepidation, both with the FIFA World Cup and, of course, the Olympics, due to Trump's immigration policies. Like, they're terrified. So now with this aggression, kind of the way Russia was stigmatized after, well, aside from the idiot trolls, after their attack on Ukraine, the United States could very well be in the same situation. And I know, the comment a few comments ago talking about what the MAGA spin on this is going to be. What I can't wait to see, and it may be coming out right now, I imagine, is what is the international response going to be? What have we just done to our allies? What have we just done to those countries who were already scaling back their military cooperation with the United States? I mean, we have seen reports that the UK, that France, many of these European nations we're saying, look, we're not going to share intelligence with the United States anymore, or we're not going to share certain intelligence on these particular issues. And I've talked about that at the time. I have to imagine we could see a full-scale pullback at this point, to where these other countries just say we're not going to do anything for you or with you anymore. And again, that becomes a major national security threat to us here in the United States. We depend on their intelligence. They depend on ours. So when I say stuff like this, does threaten global stability, I mean, that is a genuine concern here. And I do think we're entering new territory here, terrifying new territory at this point. Listen, that's about all I have on this. I do appreciate everybody tuning in today. Again, I'm still a little just kind of dumbfounded by all of this. So my apologies if I, seem a little scattered at the moment, because it really is, I don't know. I don't know. I worry about what happens here. It says the Venezuelan people are celebrating. How do you react to that? Didn't the good folks in Iraq celebrate when Saddam Hussein was captured? Right? I mean, they tore down the statues. They were dancing in the streets. It was great, right? How'd the rest of that story go? Like I said, Maduro, from what I know, not a good leader, not liked, likely stole the election, right? But that doesn't give us the authority to go in and do that kind of stuff. So let's see what happens once Donald Trump takes over Venezuela, if that celebration is still taking place. Because again, we've seen this story before. Same scenario, same situation, different names and faces. We saw the celebrations in Iraq. We saw all of it. And then more than 1 million, I think actually more than 2 million civilians killed after that by the United States. So I don't imagine these people are still going to be celebrating when Donald Trump doesn't, right now he's going to do his mission accomplished, just like Bush did. But I don't believe for a second that the bombing is over with. And those people that may be dancing in the streets right now, those are the targets. And they need to realize that. The International Criminal Courts needs to release a warrant for this Trump regime now, and all of them declared persona non grata. I agree. And look, we've already had complaints sent to the International Commission on Human Rights about Pete Hegseth and his bombing of the boats. So anything is on the table. Something needs to be on the table. Something needs to be done. We do need international help in order to do this. And, The Hague seems to be the one that would really be in the position to be able to do something about this. Look, again, I do want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's a Saturday morning. It's super early on Saturday. This is not what any of us probably wanted to be doing on Saturday. So again, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning into this and staying informed. But that's all the time I have here. Just stay up on this over the weekend. This could get pretty nasty.